every year it seems like more and more and more Californians are relocating out of California and coming up here to beautiful Southern Oregon instead of places like Texas and Arizona and Nevada and Idaho and all the places that you hear about on the news. So we're going to talk about why that is, because over the years, my team and I have helped dozens of people make that exact move, and we've started to notice some trends, okay? So we want to talk to you about what those things are, because I'm sure you're wondering, is there some sort of secret about the area that they're not telling you? Is there something that's, attracting them up here? And how are they being received by the locals? Are they being welcomed with open arms, or are they being ran off and ran out of town? So we'll cover all that and more in this video right here. So let's just start by jumping right into the number one reason people are relocating from California to Southern Oregon, and that is simply because your money goes a lot further here. That's right, the dollar stretches further, things are much less expensive. So there's a lot of examples for the difference in the price between California and Southern Oregon, okay? And what we've been hearing a lot about lately is the cost associated with insurance, and that's something that's been happening a lot, and it's not just because of all the fires going on in California, but this is an issue that's been going on for quite some time, right? And what you see is, and I'll tell you this story. The client of mine just was up here from Southern California, and they were telling me that their insurance, between flood, fire, homeowners, all of those things, after their homeowners insurance policy dumped them, canceled their policy on them, they were forced to redo everything, and the cost was going up sevenfold, okay? Not going up 7%. 7 times, right? So if it was $1,000 now, it was $7,000, but I think it was more like 3 going up to 21. But whatever the case is, that is insane. And that is what's driving so many people out of California and up here to Oregon, because what we do differently here is the insurance companies cannot cancel you for homeowners insurance because of fire. All right, so there's their fire maps that just came out here, very controversial, but the law in Oregon says that they cannot cancel a policy because of those maps, right? And they can't even actually, as far as I understand, base the rates and stuff off of those maps. They can base them on their own maps, but not the ones provided by the state. So anyways, not to go into a big rant on insurance, but that is something that's important to know if you're from California and looking at Southern Oregon, is that the insurance is just done very, very differently here compared to there. So you don't end up with a situation where you have to have separate fire insurance and homeowners insurance, because homeowners insurance here covers fire. So that's something that's important to know. There's situations where you may want to have additional coverage and those sorts of things, and that's all kind of case by case, and something I would suggest you talk to an insurance guy about. But anyways, that is something that's a big difference, is just the cost of insurance between California and Oregon. Very, very different, okay? Another one is the income and sales tax. So the highest rates for sales tax, well, actually the rates for sales tax is a great one to start with, because it's 0 here in Oregon. We don't have sales tax, so that's a very simple one. But the highest rates for income tax is what I meant to say, are just under 10% here in Oregon at the absolute highest rate. And that's like big, big, big money, okay? But comparatively to California, I think it is over 13%. So pretty big savings. That's 30% difference from 13 to 10, about there. So anyways, big difference in the amount of income tax that you're looking at in California at the highest rate versus Oregon at the highest rate. And I believe comparatively at various salaries, it's still much better here in Oregon on the whole. So that is something, but also just taxes in general. So California has a lot of the various, additional taxes and things on whatever different goods and those sorts of things that we just don't have in Oregon. And so you're going to get a lot less expenses in those regards due to not having to have all those additional taxes that you're going to experience in California. So then the second thing that's driving a lot of people away from California and directly to Southern Oregon is the political climate, okay? And I don't need to, get into a big political rant here, but the reality is that people are fleeing those kind of overreach type things as policies and stuff that are happening in California. And one of the things I hear often from clients of mine is, I can't believe, what's going on with the, electric car type stuff. Like, so for example, California's pushing into electric cars, but they're also telling you that, hey, we need to shut our power off and have rolling blackouts from this time to this time, that the grid's overtaxed and all these sorts of things. And I it's not I don't know everything about all that. I don't live in California, obviously, but I can tell you that I've heard that from almost every single client that I have worked with who has moved to here from California. That's one of their biggest frustrations, is just enough is enough. They're just kind of tired of it. And so when you look at, how Oregon handles those things, it is quite different. We don't deal, we don't have that kind of extreme level of progressiveness. I mean, I guess we do in some senses, where we just, a few years ago, they legalized drug possession, which was kind of odd, but they have since rolled it back, right? But you're still allowed to have a combustion engine here, and there's no plans that I'm aware of to change that. So things like that, that Oregon just kind of has a different approach, because politically, the state, aside from, places like Eugene and Portland, the state's pretty conservative. And so you have a nice balance, honestly, between what you're going to see in those bigger cities and what you're going to see in the more rural parts of the state. And so it all kind of just works itself out, and the state doesn't really end up doing things that are really too crazy. Although some have happened like that, legalizing drugs. But escaping the regulations isn't really the only thing that's leading people to come here to California. There's plenty more, and one of them is, for example, the real estate costs. So one of the things that I hear all the time from people is just, how insanely expensive homes have gotten in California. And it just kind of depends on the community that you're in, but overall, I mean, costs are just astronomical. And that's something that we hear very, very frequently about, is how expensive it is. And so it's nothing to have somebody say, hey, we're selling our house for $2 million or $1.5 million or whatever it is. And they take the proceeds from that and they're able to buy a nicer house here with, half of the money. So if you had $800,000 in equity in your house in California and you wanted to spend that on a place here, you're going to have a house that's really, really nice. The median home price here in Southern Oregon is about $450,000, depending on, the county and the area specifically, but overall it's about $450,000. And so if you're looking at $800,000, there's some pretty nice places at that price point. So that's one thing that I would say is definitely a pretty significant difference, and something that a lot of people are very excited about when they come up here. So for this next part, I had to actually get out here and show you, because the next reason that Californians are fleeing to Oregon is because of the outdoors, because of the lifestyle that Southern Oregon provides. And I know that California has absolutely endless amounts of recreational activities, from the mountains to the lakes to all sorts of really, really incredible stuff. I get it, but so does Oregon. We have a lot of really, really cool things too, and we don't have all the extra baggage that goes along with it, like insanely high cost of living and crazy high taxes and overreach with, not being able to run a gas chainsaw and all sorts of stuff like that. So we really get a lot more bounce, I would say, here in Oregon with all those sorts of things. But one of the things that a lot of people really, really enjoy that come here from California that I think is missed by a lot is just the more like small town sense of community that you get, and really that small town feel. And it's kind of like what a lot of people who lived in different parts of California for a long period of time, they say, hey, this is a lot like what it used to be in so-and-so city, 30 years ago or 40 years ago or whatever the case is. It reminds them of that, and the times that they really, really enjoyed in those cities, and what they, what drew them there in the first place. And so you get that here still today. And that's something that I think is really, really important. And that's something that a lot of folks have discovered, and they have decided to call this area home. So those are all things I think various clients might have mentioned being big draws to them to come here to Southern Oregon. In addition to all those things, there's also a surprisingly large amount of cultural activities. We have Southern Oregon University in Ashland, and so it's a college town. Has all sorts of stuff that comes along with that. The town of Ashland overall is just generally really, really artsy. It's been named one of the top small arts towns in America. And so you get still a lot of that culture and a lot of that, fun stuff. You can go to different art galleries. You can go to plays. You can go to all sorts of really fun things that you'd think, you're gonna forego and give up if you leave California or a bigger city. But actually, you do have quite a bit of that here. And so I think that's something that surprises a lot of people. When they come up and visit, they kind of start to realize those things and they think, wow, like, hey, that's pretty cool. I could see myself there because we have all of those things here as well. So to recap, one of the things that I wanted to kind of go over is just, let's look back at all the things we talked about, okay? People are fleeing California because of the financial situation, right? It is insanely more expensive. The cost of living, the insurance, the cost of housing is ridiculously high. So all of those things are just much, much higher financially. So there's a huge financial component to this that's drawing people to Southern Oregon away from California. The other thing is the climate, okay? We have a very Mediterranean climate, very mild, colder winters a little bit than California, especially if you're in Southern California, it's definitely gonna be colder, but overall really not bad, okay? We get into the 20s in the winter typically, we still get into the hundreds in the summer, but not crazy. It's not like going to Arizona or Las Vegas, right? It's much, much more mild. And that's a huge draw to a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people I've sold houses to who are relocating from Arizona because, or Phoenix, or Vegas because they moved there originally from California, and then they realize that desert living is not what they or have dreamed of, right? So they end up coming here, much more mild of a climate. So those things, and then the lifestyle, okay? The lifestyle is, I think, the big one that is just the most underrated that a lot of people don't really think about is the lifestyle that you can have here, okay? We have great vineyards, we have great, culture, all the arts, all these sorts of things. And so a lot of amazing things here that you don't think about, that you probably don't know about, honestly. So here's the deal. Making the move from California to Southern Oregon isn't just about finding a house or saving some money. It's about finding a lifestyle and a place to call home. And that's something that we can do here, whether you're looking for a home up in the mountains or something on the river or near vineyards. We have all of the different types of places here to provide really the lifestyle that you want to live. And you can do it in a way that is saving you money and enjoying a better climate and all of those sorts of things. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you just want to learn more about, maybe see if it's something that's right for you, pick up the phone, give me a call, shoot me a text, reach out via email, whatever you'd like to do, and I'll be more than happy to help you, okay? My information is in the description of this video, and please check out the rest of the videos on this channel. There's some really incredible resources there for you. And as always, like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to help you. Again, I'm Brian Simmons with the Buying Southern Oregon Real Estate Team. I look forward to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next video.